Hey, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm gonna talk about top 5. Starting at number 5. AMD Ryzen 9 5950X. High-end desktop processors have long offered the ultimate in performance, as long as you were willing to pay the price. Aside from high pricing, HEDT chips also require expensive accommodations, like beefy motherboards and the added cost of fully populating quad-channel memory controllers. Add in the inevitable trade-offs, like reduced performance in lightly threaded applications and games, and any cost-conscious users who could benefit from the threaded horsepower of a HEDT chip just settle for mainstream offerings. AMD's Ryzen 9 5950X, with 16 cores and 32 threads, expands on its predecessor's mission of bringing HEDT-class performance to mainstream motherboards, lowering the bar for entry. The 5950X carries a $550 price tag, but that's downright affordable compared to competing HEDT processors that don't offer the same class of performance. However, outside of that notable restriction, if you're after a chip and platform that can do serious work seriously fast, but still be nimble enough to deliver high refresh gameplay at the end of the day, the Ryzen 9 5950X fits the bill like no other CPU before it, blurring the lines between HEDT and mainstream platforms. Coming at number 4. Intel Core i9-12900K. The Intel Core i9-12900K once held the title of the fastest processor on the planet. At $589, it even outperforms AMD's Ryzen 9 5950X in heavily threaded content creation tasks, making it an exceptional value for high-end game streaming, too. It's also the uncontested leader in x86 single-threaded performance. Perhaps most importantly, you can pair this chip with Intel's Workstation W680 chipset and it supports ECC memory and CPU overclocking, making it a potent chip for entry-level workstations. The 12900K also supports leading-edge connectivity, with support DDR4-3200 or up to DDR5-4800 memory, along with 16 lanes of PCIe 5.0 and an additional 4 lanes of PCIe 4. Meanwhile, the E-cores have a 2.4 GHz base and stretch up to 3.9 GHz via the standard Turbo Boost 2.0 algorithms. The chip is also equipped with 30 MB of L3 cache and 14 MB of L2. This 12900K has a 125W PBP and 241W MTP power rating, but we recorded considerably lower power consumption than its prior gen counterpart. You get industry-leading performance in exchange. At number 3. Intel Core i9-10980XE. The Core i9-10980XE is a solid alternative pick. Just be aware that you'll sacrifice quite a bit of threaded horsepower by selecting the Core i9-10980XE. For streamers and professionals who can make use of the extra I/O of and quad-channel memory, Intel's Cascade Lake X flagship earns its niche. But the Ryzen 5950X and 3950X are a better value for most productivity workloads, where the more robust HEDT platform is less important. That leaves a preciously slim slice of the market where Intel has an advantage in this price bracket. The Core i9-10980XE also has much higher overclocking headroom than its predecessor. But the 10980XE's advantage after tuning over the AMD Ryzen 5950X comes at a $280 premium and requires more robust cooling and power delivery, so you should factor that into your purchasing decision. In most cases, the Ryzen 9 5950X and 3950X, both listed below, remain the better choice if you can find those chips on shelves. Number 2 of my list. AMD Threadripper 3970X. While the Threadripper 3990X/3995WX brings the utmost performance possible to bear, the exotic design does result in slower performance in some common workloads, leaving room for the Threadripper 3970X to serve as the more reasonable option for the productivity-minded. The 32-core, 64-thread Threadripper 3970X delivers devastating threaded performance in its price range, often trouncing Intel's most exotic silicon. Intel's Xeon W or 3175X is ill-suited to take on the comparatively power-sipping Threadripper processors on a power efficiency basis, not to mention pricing. AMD's forward-thinking adoption of the PCIe 4.0 interface is another attraction that will help win over the semi-professional crowd. While the faster interface isn't as useful on the mainstream desktop, the ability to stack up throughput-craving devices behind the chipset without the radical throughput restrictions we see with Intel's DMI is another big win. And number 1. AMD Threadripper Pro. Intel's seemingly endless delay in transitioning to the 10nm node and a new architecture has left the industry ripe for disruption. As a result, AMD's Threadripper 3000 processors rule the upper segment of the HEDT market uncontested. The Threadripper 3990X established itself as the fire-breathing standard-bearer for the entire consumer market. But AMD has brought a very similar model to retail that's specifically designed for workstations. AMD's Threadripper Pro 3995WX slots in as the workstation market's uncontested leader in multi-threaded work with 64 cores, 128 threads, and supports up to 2 TB of memory spread out among 8 memory channels, not to mention 128 lanes of PCIe 4.0 connectivity. The higher boost frequencies provide snappy performance in everyday lightly threaded applications and devastating threaded performance in workloads that scale well. Check out this video description for latest price and more informations. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe and stay tuned.